Good morning, everyone. My name is Joshua Middleton, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch the Positive Hope vlog, documenting my journey with HIV. Today, I wanted to share the story of my diagnosis with you so you can understand how I reached this point in my life. I was diagnosed HIV positive on June 5th of 2012. Now, at this moment, I was already going through a very trying time in my life. I had survived death twice, 2 years prior, once from necrotizing fasciitis and the second time from septic shock. I had also been hospitalized over a 2 year span over 30 times for reoccurring issues with my leg and MRSA, staph infection, the whole 9 yards. So I had been through quite the roller coaster by the time I was diagnosed. In January of 2012, I found out that my girlfriend of almost 2 years, whom I loved with all my heart, we were planning on having a kid together, our families got along. It seemed like the match made in heaven. However, obviously things were not going as well as I thought they were. And I found out she cheated on me twice, the first time with a neighbor and the second time with a cousin of a non-blood uncle. Now, I knew it was the best thing to do to break up, however, emotionally and mentally, I just didn't know how to deal with it. I've never been good with breakups. So I started to seek out support and love in all the wrong places. I started to have multiple one night stands with girls I had barely just met or had known for a very short amount of time. Oftentimes, I would be having these sexual relations that would be unprotected. I was also going down to La Cahuila in Tijuana, Mexico, to the brothels there, not because I was looking for a relationship or for love, but just because I wanted to feel a woman's touch again. I wanted to feel compassion, some type of support that somebody knew what I was going through. So in May of 2012, I started to get symptoms of Pinkeye, which for me was normal because I work in bail bonds. I'm constantly in and out of the jail, so for me, it was normal. I went to the doctor to go get some eye drops, and when I was at the doctor, I started to think back to all the times that I had put myself at risk. I knew I had had unprotected sex many times. I didn't know if my ex-girlfriend, at the time when she was cheating on me, if she had used protection. I had gotten a tattoo months prior. When we were together, she had gotten a tattoo at a kind of a shady, low budget type place, and I would have never got a tattoo there. However, I knew there were many factors that could have put me at risk for HIV. So I decided to get a test. I usually got it done every single year, annually, and I just expected it to come back negative. They took my blood, told me they'd call me back within a couple days, and I never got a call back. And it seemed odd to me that they didn't call me back. However, I figured, hey, they just got busy, they forgot. I'll call them later this week if I don't hear from them. And time went on, and June 5th of 2012, I had an appointment scheduled with my specialist for my leg to check on the ongoing issues with my leg. So I went down there, and the two clinics are connected through the same network, so they're able to share information with each other. I went in the clinic, totally not expecting to talk about my HIV test or the result or anything of the sort, just the issues regarding my leg. So my doctor went over everything with me regarding my leg, my antibiotics, how things were going. And then he asked me, Josh, I know you took an HIV test last week with your primary care doctor, Dr. Cuenca, and don't you find it odd he didn't call you back? And I said, hey, well, thanks for reminding me because I need to call him after this because he hasn't called me back and I think they just forgot. So that's when he told me, Josh, today I have your test results and they didn't come out so good. And I thought, well, how could they not come out good? Do I need to do another blood test or they couldn't read it or whatever? I certainly wasn't expecting a positive result. But that's when he told me, Josh, you've came out positive this time. You're HIV positive. And it took a while for it to sink in. I remember looking at the wall, trying to ignore what he was telling me. Everything he was telling me about how HIV was a lot different now than the 1980s. We have treatment. Everything went in one ear and out the other. I was honestly in a slow motion, blurry moment. It was hard to remember a lot of it. After a minute or two sunk in, I broke down. And for me to break down, that takes a lot because I'm a very strong person emotionally and mentally. So it really took time for it to sink in, Josh, you're HIV positive, that I realized, how my life was going to change. I broke down. I cried a river of tears that I've never cried before. And I remember thinking, I don't know how I'm going to tell my family, my friends, how people are going to treat me from now on. If I'm going to die, that wasn't my biggest concern. I knew, from what he was telling me, there was treatment and stuff, but my main concern is, I'm going to be looked at very differently now. I went to go get the confirmatory test, the Western blot, and to confirm the positive result. And the girl asked me, why are you crying so much? And I told her, look at what test I'm getting. And she said, you're going to be fine. You'll come out negative. And that's when I told her, no, this is to confirm a positive result. And, she said, Josh, I'm so sorry. I had to sit down about 10 to 15 minutes after they took my blood just so I wouldn't get up and collapse. I've always been a bit of a workaholic, and I was scheduled for work that day at 2 p.m. In bail bonds, so I drove straight to work. The whole way there, I honestly just wanted to crash the car. I just wanted to say goodbye to this life and not have to deal with it. However, after realizing how that would affect the people closest to me, I made the very smart decision to continue on with life. It was a very hard day at work. I was very open about my status from the beginning. I began to tell coworkers and everything about what had happened. I've always been a person that carries my emotions on my shoulders, so it was just natural for me to tell them. And I received much support. I didn't receive any discrimination or anything. I went home that night. I was contemplating not telling my parents. However, I knew that it would be very hard to keep it in. And seeing the person that's raised your whole life, put their whole entire heart and soul into you, loved you, knowing something's wrong because they could obviously tell I had been crying all day, it was hard not to tell them. So I told my mom first, alone, and we sat and we cried for hours, 2 to 3 hours. And my mom let me know, whatever we need to do to get through this, we will as a family. I then told my dad before he went to work, and he gave me a big hug and just let me know, hey, it's going to be all right. We're going to support you through this. So it was really a family effort, and I knew I had their support, which was very helpful. I then waited for the confirmatory test to come in from my doctor, and that way I could confirm it was actually positive and it wasn't a false positive or anything before making the call to my ex-girlfriend, whom we had been broken up for about 5 to 6 months at this time. When it finally did come in, I made that call, and it was the hardest call I've ever had to make. I knew it was the right thing to do. However, when I told her, I couldn't even get the words out of my mouth. But by the time that I did say, Amirani in Spanish, Amirani soy VIH positivo, I'm HIV positive, she let out a shriek and a scream that I've never heard before, just of sheer terror and horror of what was happening. I let her know to go get tested for her own health, and her aunt got on the phone after that and told me she was going to go take her to get tested. She was breaking down. Her mom called me the next day, cussed me out so fast in Spanish that I've never even heard that before. It was just a terrible time in my life. But then I had to make the choice of what I was going to do with my life, of whether I was going to let this virus define me or whether I was going to take the reins and control and, really just deal with it. And that's what I did. I started on treatment a week after being diagnosed. I originally started with a 28,000 viral load and 350 CD4s. I started on a tripla, and within a month I was undetectable. My CD4s almost doubled. HIV is not necessarily the end of life. It's honestly just a new beginning. HIV is something you definitely want to prevent. Get tested. Use condoms always. There's stuff out there like PrEP and PEP nowadays that, if you think you've been exposed or you're constantly in high-risk situations, you can use those. But I like how some of my fellow activists say, it's no longer it's no longer a death sentence, but it is a life sentence. And, I have to take medicine for the rest of my life now or until there's a cure. I'm very healthy. I take vitamins, I exercise, I do everything I can to take care of my health. However, it's something you definitely want to prevent if you can. It's an emotional roller coaster, and I take it day by day. HIV is just part of my daily life now. It's part of my health. But it's not going to stop me from accomplishing my goals, my dreams in life. So, if you're in a situation where you think you might be HIV positive, go out and get tested. There are definitely many more people than you probably think are HIV positive in your life than you really know. 1 in 5 people are HIV positive and they don't even know their status. So it's important to go out there and get tested, but above all, use protection. 15 minutes of fun is not worth a lifetime of medicine, and this medicine has side effects. A tripla, I went through a year and a half of hell with side effects every single day. I just recently switched to another medicine that's a lot better, but it still has some side effects, so it's definitely something that you need to prevent if you can. And if you know someone who's HIV positive, just be supportive. Just be there by their side. That's the best advice I can give you. Love them. As far as we face a lot of stigma and discrimination with this virus. However, it's not something that is the doomsday end all. You can definitely, go forward in life, accomplish every dream that you've ever wanted. Be healthy. I can live into my 70s. So it's definitely something that is doable, but it's all in your attitude and also starting on treatment. Until next time, thank you for watching the Positive Hope vlog, listening to my story. You can check me out on Facebook, facebook.com/positivehope. It's Positive Hope with a Z. All of these links will be. Twitter.com/positivehope. You can email me any questions regarding HIV and AIDS at positivehope1@gmail.com, as well as checking out my blog, which has a new blog every Sunday at www.positivehope.com. So until next time, thank you for watching. I'm Joshua Middleton, and I hope you have a blessed rest of your day.